I would change my life, just
Hello everyone, my name is Zanisha Hawkins and I'm going to be doing a brow tutorial today. So this is like one of the most requested things that I always get is about brows. So I'm going to try to be as detailed as possible as to how I do my brows. So let's begin. Alright, so first of all, in order to do your brows, you have to decide what kind of look you want to go for. Do you want your brows to be dark, stand outish, or do you want them to look more natural? For me, I'm kind of in between. So usually I will go for a darker color brow powder or pomade and then dab over it a little bit with like a setting powder just to lighten it up, just to make it look a little bit more natural. Also, you want to decide whether or not you want to go with a powder versus a pencil or a pomade. I honestly have used all of them. It really just comes down to preference. I feel that if you learn how to set all three, they can all have a long wear. All right, so let's get into what I use. I use the Unique Moodstruck brow palette, and as you can see when I open it, it is very loved. It looks a hot mess because my kids have gotten into it, but also I use this a ton. And the brush that I use is kind of like a combo brush. It has an angled, very stiff brush on one end, and on the other end it has a spoolie. So this just allows me to comb through the hairs of my brow and get them in a place to make it easier for me to draw my brows on. So I usually like to stroke my brows up, that way I get maximum height because I don't want them to be too skinny. If I brush them like to the side, you see the difference, they look a lot more thin. So I try to brush my hairs like kind of like up and at an angle, and that's kind of like where I want them to stay. And I do the same thing over here. All right, next thing I'm going to do is in this brow palette, they usually will give you two colors that you can use for your brows. So there's three different palettes. There's light, medium, and dark. This is the dark version, and in the dark version you have a lighter color and a darker color. I use more of like the lighter color towards the beginning front part of my brow and the darker color towards the end. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my brush and just dab it into this dark right here. The dark one's also really good for tracing your brow because it's gonna show up a little bit better. So when you get started, the best thing for you to do is really get close to your mirror. You wanna have your mirror like right in your face so that way you can see what you're doing. It's really good to kind of ground your elbow if you can, especially when you're first starting out to do your eyebrows. So if you have a table or something like that, if you can ground it so that you have a sturdy hand, that's ideal. Now starting off, it's really good to find out where exactly you want your brows to begin. For most women, if you go ahead and take like a pencil or your brush and you line it up against the side of your nose and you go straight up, this is usually where you want to begin your brows. So about right here, right in the inner part of your nose. So you're gonna start from the bottom of your hairs and bring that out, or if you've done this for a while, you can just go ahead and start from the inner part and take it on back. Now what I'm doing right now is I'm just tracing the bottom part of my brows. If you're new to this, feel free to take your time. Usually your arch is right, so if you take your brush, you go to the outside of your nose right here, you go through looking straight forward, you go through your pupil, then your arch is about right here. So side of your nose, through your pupil, looking straight forward, and that's how you can figure out where your arch is supposed to be. Now this is where you get to have fun. Even if you haven't had a tweeze in a while, you can become pretty creative with your arch. If you want a high arch, you can absolutely go up more and over, and then just take a tweezer when you get done filling in your brows and tweeze any remaining hairs. If you just had a wax and you love the way your brows are shaped, just follow it around. Now, how do you know where to stop? I think one of the biggest mistakes that we all make is we want to curve our brows down when actually we should just kind of be taking them out. Obviously it's up to you as to how you want your brows to look, but I just feel that it does look a lot better when you take them outwards versus curving them down. You don't want it to look like Ronald McDonald, basically. So how do you know, or how can you figure out where your brows is supposed to end? So you're going to take your brush again. You're going to go to the outside part of your nose. You're going to go to the outside part of your eye. And straight up right here is where your brow is supposed to end. Okay? So about right there. Just darken that up a little bit. Right there. Okay? So this is exactly where my brow is supposed to end. Plus, when you actually go outwards like this instead of down, you give yourself a little bit more eye space for your eyebrow highlight and so on and so forth. So you're not cutting into where you would place your eyeshadow. I found that out the hard way. All right, now when you go to the top, the only difference with the top is instead of starting all the way out here, because you don't want to bring that super dark color out to the front, you're going to start right here where your hairs actually start. So you're just going to trace this line again and take your time. And here is where it's tricky, because if you have very thin brows, you don't have any type of curvature, you're going to have to make this on your own. So the best way to do it is to go ahead, when you get right above that arch, make sure you have enough product on your brush, take your hands and twist it down and meet the ending line. So I'm just going to show you one more time. You're just going to take it and twist it down and meet that ending line, and then you're just tracing over that line. You're not drawing a super thick line out here. All you're doing is you're meeting your brush with the existing line, and then you're tracing over it, which makes the line just slightly thicker. Now what you're going to do is you're going to go back in and kind of fill in your brow. You don't need a whole bunch of product. Now what I like to do at this point is I like to actually take my spoolie and try to see if there's any product that I can pick up out of this brow while actually brushing through it too, because it gives you like that more natural hair look, and see if you can bring some of that to the front. If you don't have enough product there, this is when you go into that lighter color. So you're going to go into that lighter color, and you could do one or two things. You could either go up like this and make like little hairs and then connect it, and don't worry if it's not perfect, because you're going to clean that up. Or you could just straight up just put the brush right here and pull it back and fill it in. Okay, so that's our first brow. You're gonna look at it at first and you're gonna be like, it's not even. That's what cleaning it up is for. So now you're gonna keep in mind when you go to the next side that you want these brows to look identical. So you're gonna repeat the same process. You're gonna start with your darker powder. And even if your brows are like minimum to none, you still are trying your best to make this part look as even as possible. So you have to be a little bit creative. Remember where we start? Going in the inside of our nose, so all the way right here. So all this part right here, I don't have any here. right, so now you just want to make sure that they look even. So you're going to look straight on to your camera, straight on to your mirror, and you're going to make sure basically that the top lines up with the top and the bottom lines up with the bottom. And if it doesn't, then when you go to before you go to clean it up, you can go ahead and fix it now, or you can clean it up and then go back in and fix it later. You can either use like a concealer, put a concealer on the back of your hand, dip your angled brush into the concealer and line up your brow, or you can do it like if you have like a foundation stick or a concealer stick, you can do it the way that I'm about to do it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to take the stick and go right underneath my brow. And usually if you can connect these, that's best, because then you can really see that they're even. Now I'm just gonna flip it. So this is a dual stick by Unique. They actually don't make this particular one anymore, but there's plenty of dual concealer sticks out that's just like this on the market. Or you can just use like a concealer wand and do the same thing, or you can use, you know, your angle brush. All right, so now I'm gonna take like a slightly darker stick, and I'm gonna go on the top. And this is because I don't want to have like a highlight on the top of my brow. I want the top of my brow to blend in nicely with my foundation. So I'm just gonna take this on the top, and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna trace the top and make sure it's nice and clean, that I don't have any, I didn't draw out the line basically. And if I did, I'm gonna clean it up. It's like a magic eraser. I'm gonna clean it up with the concealer. So this is just dark. This is just dark enough to kind of blend into my foundation, but it's just light enough that when I hold the mirror close to me, I can see it, and I can make sure that it's tracing and lining up my brow like it's supposed to. Now what's also great about this is if you go over the line at all, you can just take this magic eraser. Perfect. All right, now what we're going to do, because I know you guys are like, what, we're looking cray cray right now. So we're gonna take that angle brush that I was telling you about that you could use, and we're gonna pull this down onto our eyelid. And as you can see, I'm kind of doing it like at an angle. I'm tracing the line first, and then I'm dragging it down. What tracing it does for me is it kind of lifts the product and gets it to move. And it's okay if you have a little that comes over here. Once you do your blending and everything, that's all gonna just go away. Now this gives you that just really pretty, very nice, clean under brow highlight with the concealer. Like you haven't put on any shimmer yet. It's the perfect color, and it's just really making it look sharp and crisp. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is the same thing. I'm just going to wipe off. So right here I just have like a little rag. There are little cleaning brush sponges that you can use, but I'm just using a little rag to wipe off my brush in between, so I'm not transferring product, getting the light mixed with the dark, etc. So I'm just going to blend out this top one. Although you can barely see it, I can see it, and I want to make sure that it's not a huge highlight over top of my brow. And I'm just going to blend that out just slightly. It doesn't have to be blended out as much as the lighter one. You just don't want any like caked up product sitting on the top of your brow. All right, now this is where if there's anything that you don't like about your brow, like say you went over with the concealer just a little bit, which I really don't see anything that I don't like. Usually I do, but I'll just show you what you could do. You can take a little bit of your powder If you feel like you went over the line a little bit, now I'm trying to find like a spot that I can maybe touch up. Everything looks so good. Well, let's just say there's a spot there's a spot that you want to like fix that you don't really like. This will be the time to go ahead and fix it. Now, what I like to do at this point is set my brows, because you don't want to, like, when you go to blend this down more or start working on your contour and stuff, you don't want to accidentally nick your brows, and because you didn't set it, it smears it and you have to do the whole process over again. It's called a 24-hour brow setter by Benefit, and it is a clear liquid, and it works really great over powder. So I even put it over the spot that has no hair. For some reason, it still works. I don't know why. So you just comb it through all the parts that have the darker shadow. There you go. So now you have that set. So now you're wondering, okay, what's the next step? Well, now you got to make this look nice. So I use this fluffy brush by BH Cosmetics, the number 6 brush. It was in the black collection, but this is what it looks like. Like, it's super like fluffy, but it's tapered at the same time. So this is like my eye concealer blending brush. So I like to take that and kind of bring this down and blend it in as best as I can at this point. Now once you do your contour and your highlight, you're going to be blending it more again. But you just want to drag that down so that it's just not caked up right there. Be very careful around your brows. And always my trouble area, and I feel like this is a trouble area for a lot of beginners when you first start, it's always like right here where you'll see like people's eyeshadow, like it looks like it just stopped right here. So you really want to make sure that you like blend that out as nice as you can. Like I said, don't worry about this part too much because you're gonna like go over that. Up here, I didn't really have to do anything, but as you can see, like, bam, like, are those brows not freaking perfect? Like, they're amazing. Babe, what do you think? Are those brows great?
They are great.
See? So I hope that this helped. I'm gonna wait for you guys to kind of give me some feedback, see if there's something that you want me to go more into detail about. But what I'm gonna do now is go ahead and finish my face. I'm just gonna do a little bit of a quick eyeshadow and contour and take a final pic for you guys, and we'll speed through that part. Okay? Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something. Bye. So here's my final look. Brows on fleek. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Bye.